Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Whoa! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about light leaks and air intakes into the tent and how we can balance the two, because we definitely don't want any light leaks and we definitely don't want no intake air making into the tent, because that's when, if you ever walk up to your tent and the sides of it are all sucked in, it's not very good for the intake fans. It actually causes them to have a much shorter lifespan. So today we're going to talk about how we can avoid light leaks while still letting in makeup air so our tents aren't pulling in, and avoid herming our garden out by trying to let air intakes through the bottom with those little flaps, but not let the light in at the same time. So let me scoot over here for this a little bit. Guys, if you could, please like, comment, subscribe, watch the full video. It helps the channel out a ton. Doesn't take you hardly any time at all, but it is much, much appreciated over here on this side. Also, Black Friday is coming up in a few weeks. I don't think I can stress how good of a time it is to join up right now over at WTTGT. I don't know if I could adequately express how good of a time it is to join. All right, there's that. Really good time to join. Black Friday drop coming up. 3 new t-shirts. All right. So we've all seen these intake vents. Every tent has them. They got the little flaps. They like roll up. What this is originally designed for is to let makeup air into our tent. Because as you all know, we have exhaust fans in our tent. You know, those little round ones you get from AC Infinity or Mars Hydro or any of the above mentioned names, doesn't matter which one. They pull the air that's in the tent. You usually have them sitting at the top of the tent, and they recirculate the air from the inside of the tent to the outside of the tent. It's done for a multitude of reasons. One is you have carbon filters on them that clean the smell. Back in the day, the tents used to generate way more heat when we would have other styles of lights that were in these tents. They would generate way more heat, so we were using that as a way to pull the heat, to extract the heat out of there, and then we would even run the tubes out of the lung room completely, so we could circulate that heat out and pull fresh air into the tents. It helped if you weren't running ACs. It helped cool the environment down by pulling that hot air out of there from the very hot lights. Now with LEDs, not so much of a big deal anymore, but still nice to pull in fresh circulated air. So they have these windows at the bottoms of all the tents. There's usually one of these little rectangular flaps on 3 sides of the tent, because the door doesn't usually have one. You usually just have like a little window. You can look through it towards the top of the door. But they usually have these on the other 3 sides of the tent that don't have the door. There's these, you know, they're just you'll see it where it's like that style that we showed earlier, where they kind of like, they're Velcro on 3 sides and they roll up to the top. Those are my least favorite kind, because that rolling flap, you know, you can only roll it up and then it kind of sticks out, and it makes it very hard to let air in. And the way we used to do this is we were just using lids from like big tote containers. We were leaving the lids up there, and then we kind of filled the sides so we could pull air and stuff like that. That was the old way of doing it. For the last few years, though, the way we've been doing it is using this stuff. Now there is, well, here, before we put that picture up, there is things where people are selling now. They're not terribly expensive, but they're not cheap either. And the way I'm going to show you how to do it today, most of us already have this stuff laying around because it comes with a product that we already buy, and you don't have to spend any extra money, and most people already have this stuff. If you've bought a grow tent with an exhaust, if you bought any kind of exhaust fans for your grow tent, usually you have this stuff laying around because you get way more of it than you ever need. So we're going to repurpose some of that extra stuff we have into air intake vents. It won't cost us any more money, and even if you don't have any of it, you can get like 25 foot of this stuff for like $10. It's extremely cheap. So we're going to repurpose some of this, or go get some other cheap stuff instead of buying $50 covers to go into we're going to use the circles that are made for cords and stuff to go in, we're going to use those drawstring curtains or circles instead of using the rectangle vents. So we're going to shut the vents. We're never going to open them. We're going to seal them completely shut. And we are going to use the exhaust tubing, that expandable exhaust tubing that comes with our exhaust fans. And if you don't have it, you can literally go to Walmart and you can get like 25 foot of this stuff for like $10, even if it's just running the 4-inch. What's nice about the tents is they usually have these circles, just like those rectangle vent windows. They usually have these circles on every single side of the tent, except for the door side. Again, it's the other, the other 3 sides of the tent. So even if, let's say, you only had 4-inch tubing, you didn't have any 6-inch or 8-inch tubing, you can still make this work with the 4-inch tubing. You can literally just put it in multiple different circles around the tent instead of just one. So let's say you had a 4x4 and you only had this 4-inch tubing. You're like, okay, well, I put the 4-inch tubing through one of the circles, but my tent is still sucking in. Great, you can just literally take that tubing and put it in multiple circles around the tent, multiple vents around that tent, and it will pull air in until it stops sucking the sides of the tent in. What you do not want is your tent constantly. If you ever walk to your tent, you're like, and you like when you unzip the door, it's like you hear that huge rush of air. That is not good for your exhaust fan. That means your exhaust fan is having to work overtime. It's actually pulling so hard, it's sucking the sides of the tent in. A little bit of suction, fine. But I'm talking about, it looks like, once again, when you unzip the tent and you hear that huge rush of air, that is not good for the tent. You're actually going to really wear down on how long your exhaust fan is able to stay alive. So this tubing, though, it does come in different colors, different sizes. If you have a bigger tent, generally the 6-inch tubing will work a little bit better for you. But if all you have is the 4-inch, once again, you can just put it in, you can slice it up, and you don't just put it like a straight, like 8-inch section through the tubing, because that could still let light in. But if you literally just take this stuff and shape it like a U, you can do like 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches. The light can't make it around the bends. So whenever you do this, you have now shut those little rectangular vent windows with the mesh netting on it. You've completely shut those, so no light leaks coming through those. So that's besides equipment inside the tent that we didn't know had a light on it. The biggest place that we get light leaks from is from these vent windows, where we're trying to let our makeup air in. And our makeup air is super important, so you have to let it in for one, just the health of the overall tent with that fresh makeup air coming in, and then 2, for the life of our exhaust fans. I know they're not terribly expensive, but if I kill one of my AC Infinity exhaust fans, I don't want to have to go spend another $100 or whatever it is to go get a new one. I'd much rather just live longer. So we'll just take this tubing that looks like this. It comes in silver, comes in black, comes in 4-inch, comes in 6-inch, comes in 8-inch. Depending on what size exhaust fan, you probably got about 25 foot of this stuff with your exhaust fan. And if you have used that all up, let's say you ran it out of your room and used it all up, you can literally go to Walmart and pick up like the silver stuff that looks like this. This is $10 for 25 foot of this silver stuff. And once again, it doesn't matter what side, you can just put extra in. But you can do 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches, and just make like a little U, and that will allow all that makeup air to come in. 0 light leaks, and you didn't have to buy anything extra, any expensive kind of thing to put into this port. You can literally just use the extra exhaust tubing that you have, and it doesn't matter if you had the small one or the big one, it'll work for any tent. Now with the smaller tents, the little 4-inch tubing here works great. The bigger the tent, the bigger the tubing. Like on my 4x8s, like where my mother tents are, I have 6-inch tubing in all 3 sides. So, but some of the other tents, they can do 8-inch tubing, the works, and it looks like that. So it comes in really big sizes. It fits right through this port, and then all you do after you put it through there is you just use that little drawstring and cinch it shut and move that little toggle, and so that it doesn't open back up. You've got all the exhaust and air movement that you want. You have none of the light leaks that have plagued you for so long. This is super simple, and usually all of us have this right here in our tents already. Guys, please stay tuned for next week for the part 2 or the conclusion of the PK booster only grow. The results are insane. I hope everybody has a fantastic week coming up, and even better weekend after that. I hope you guys all tune in next week for the PK only grow, because it's freaking crazy. I'll see you guys next time. I'm GT. I'm out of here. Bang.